Good day, everybody. It's the 15th of July, 2023. And that behind me, that's a monument to the partisans, World War II. Lots and hundreds of those in Belarus, because this was a lot of partisans fighting off the occupiers, the German and Ukrainian occupiers of Belarus. I don't know how many of them were from Lithuania or those places too, because as you know, those were, I guess you'd call them nasties, part of the nasties. You know, the Baltic states and a lot of them. Oddly enough, Poland was on the side of the Soviet Union back then, but now they're not. Now they're full of nasties too. Well, not the people necessarily. I just say the government. It's kind of an occupation. Just like in Ukraine, the Western Ukraine was nasties, but on the eastern side, I think even including Kiev was on the side of believe it or not, the USA and Russia and the good guys supposedly. But the western side of Ukraine, and now just the government of Poland, I suppose. They're part of the nasties. It's a nice park. What are people laying out? That's a guy. What am I looking at that? What am I looking at that for? A guy. But just walk around here a little bit and talk a little bit about some happenings or news, I guess you'd say. Everybody saw that by now, probably saw that with, that's not a guy. Probably saw that with Kamala Harris already, and she was, where was that? I don't know if it was recorded yesterday or the day before, but she was talking about some of these goals. Let's see if I can find out. It says, we must invest in electric vehicles, clean energy, and population reduction, I guess she said. So I shouldn't come here. A lot of ladies in the sun. I guess if I went by the river, it would probably be a lot more people because it's Saturday today. But it was probably that she messed up, and I guess the White House was saying that she was saying pollution reduction. I make that mistake too. Sometimes the words are not even similar. I might say Ukraine when I mean something. Look at Joe Biden, boy. You don't want to mess up Ukraine with Russia, and he does that apparently sometimes. He just did it, I guess, a couple days ago. So I don't think I've done that. I hope I haven't done that. I don't know. I guess we all do that sort of thing sometimes. Yes, and this is kind of a new place for me too. I haven't been here. Just looking around. Lots of areas. In Minsk I haven't been. This is a couple metro stops away from where I live. So, yes. Anyway, she said that our children can breathe clean air, so it must have been pollution. So having less people on Earth, if it was population, would mean clean air, which doesn't make sense. But still the problem is, these people, there is an agenda of population reduction, and you can see that just about everything they do has something to do with population reduction. I'll get into that a little bit more, such as changing your gender, things like that. But I wonder how depleted uranium is pollution reduction, or war in general. What about cluster bombs and things like that? Is that cluster bombs is probably a form of pollution. They stay there sometimes years and does a lot of damage to civilians, especially children, when they come across them. And now they're now apparently going to be sending a lot of those to Ukraine, right along with all the other bombs and things. I don't know if I want to go this way. I'm going to walk over this way, but it seems like too many people walking over there. And everybody's just, I don't know, something about it. I just don't like people staring at me. So, yesterday I was mentioning some countries that Ukraine, as well as the United States, within a lot of these countries, they're assisting Ukraine in recruiting more meat for the meat grinder and telling them how great it is to go there. One of those new countries I just mentioned yesterday, of course I told you about Colombia already, but one of them is Brazil, and they're sort of allies of Russia. So I don't know why Brazil is allowing them to be in that country. Or maybe they're just advertising there, and maybe this is on some kind of a dark web or something. I really don't know. But it says they're saying if you go to kill Russians, you know, that you'll be seen as a hero in Brazil to kill Russians. You know, I kind of was thinking a lot of the Brazilian people like the Russians. And in a lot of these countries, they're saying that there's even in African countries, they're advertising for people to go and try to kill Russians. And they make it like a safari, you know, as if there's some kind of a Buffalo Bill or something going. And you know how Buffalo Bill went through the West and, you know, rode by on a train, and he would just shoot as many buffalo as he possibly could, and they just stayed there and died and rotted in the fields, in the big prairies of the, who knows, Montana and Wyoming and South Dakota, North Dakota, all that sort of thing. Apparently that's what it was all about. It was just like sport, just to see how, they used to like to just watch them drop. They'd like to see that, you know. You see, I don't know if you've seen any film footage of how a buffalo drops when you shoot it. I guess they got off on that back in those days. So yeah, there's so many people dying on the Ukraine side. We see all these other desperate measures, as you know. You've seen them. You know, this is just one big peeve that I have, you know, this waste of human life. It just really ticks me off. You know, going and grabbing people off the streets. You're seeing these films every single day, new ones, how they're doing this. There was one in a park, and there's someone speaking in Russian, some woman, and they show these kind of military guys, and they're coming from different directions, you know, maybe within a 50 to 80 meter area, you know, and then they find some guy, and then they're just grabbing this guy, you know, because he's of military age, apparently. Then what I thought of immediately when I saw that is these guys, they need to travel in packs. I think at that point they had like 5 or 6 so-called recruiters grabbing these. Oh, I found some money. What did I find here? I found a ruble. Let's see if you can see this. Здравствуйте. Maybe it was hers. I doubt it. Something shining in the sun. Find a ruble, pick it up, and all the day you'll have good luck. New expression. So, but anyway, they come in like, sometimes I guess in groups of 5, you know, and a lot of time when you see them in the cities, a lot of time they have maybe somebody driving a van, and then there's maybe 1 or 2 in the van, and then they go and they try to, you know, grab people, you know, somebody that went shopping. Terrible, terrible, terrible. You hear this stuff, like a woman sends her husband out, you know, maybe on a Saturday morning or whatever, and you know, to go out and get some bread, and these guys exit the store, and these so-called recruiters grab them, and the wife never hears again from her husband, or the parents never hear again from their son. Maybe they're allowed to write letters at some point in time. I don't know. This is all just terrible, terrible stuff. That's the point I'm trying to make, and I'm just I'm just, because I imagine this happening to me or to somebody that I know. I don't know about the rest of you people, but that really gets me. That really bothers me. And most of these people, they're sent to certain death, and a lot of them, they just don't live very long. Some of them, I don't know. Maybe some don't even get training. They just tell them, like I said, stick the gun in your hand, point this end at the enemy, and here's the trigger. You pull this little thing back here, and then it goes bang. Be ready for that, and that's it. And then you see them getting caught in minefields. So many videos lately, so many. And I guess the death toll is really high every day. Every day, I think, what was that? I saw that at one point, averaging. It used to be maybe in the first year of the military operation, I think Ukraine was losing like 200 to 300 people a day. And right now, I'm imagining it's about 500 to 700 a day while this so-called counteroffensive is running. And then I saw that they were Ukraine is getting, and it's like I've been saying, and the U.S. says, oh, we don't have any ammo, but Ukraine is bombing in the area of Kherson like crazy, just relentlessly bombing and bombing and bombing, just sending all kinds of bombs. And so where do they get these bombs if the U.S. and the Allies don't have any bombs? So a lot of this stuff is just fake. And the U.S. not having any bombs mean they probably have about 6 million of them or something. That's no bombs to them. It's sort of like Michael Jackson when he was broke. He still had the Never Ranch, I guess, was worth 5 million. Hillary Clinton, Hill and Hillary Clinton, remember when they left the White House, they said they were broke? Broke to the Clintons means that you have to lay off one of your chauffeurs. Like Hillary Clinton has admitted, she hasn't driven a car she says, for many decades. So in other words, she has a chauffeur. So broke to a lot of these people means, maybe $5 million in the bank instead of the $40 or $50 million in the bank. And you all know that. Declare bankrupt. Look at Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden, he couldn't pay child support. He had apparently some lady who would advertise her skin in nightclubs, and he went and somehow she was with child, and he said he didn't have the money to pay for that. So the Biden family, even though Hunter Biden, I think at that time was just from Burisma alone, I believe he was getting $86,000 or $89,000 a month. That was just one place, and he's getting a lot of money, millions from here and millions from there. Everybody knows about that. Very rich guy, and of course, then all of a sudden he has no money, right? Well, that funny white powdery stuff, that they found in the White House, it's kind of expensive. You can ask old Zelensky about that. A lot of these people, I guess that's the rich man's alcohol or whatever. It's a lot more expensive than the poor man's, which is probably fentanyl in America. Yes, desperate measures. The meat grinder must be fed. People blowing up all over. And I don't know about these 3,000 reservists. I think it was just 3,000. That's like 3 battalions, actually. About 1,000 people in a battalion. A company is 200 people. Then the battalion level is about 1,000. So it's like 3 battalions of reservists getting sent to Ukraine. And everybody's asking the question, well, why reservists? And a lot of people say, well, that's because it just doesn't quite sound so much like boots on the ground. And weekend warriors, I guess they call them. Everybody has to be a reservist for a while after you get off of active duty in the military. So, and it's even if it's inactive reserves. So I don't know, maybe, what is it, 6 years or something like that. And Russia still, I guess, has what does it have? Many millions of reservists. And of course, a lot of people, Russia doesn't need to mobilize, I guess, because so many people are volunteering. And I get into that too. What Zelensky, I'll just say that right now then. All this stuff has something to do with some of the other little stories I have. Zelensky is coming out. And he's saying, well, I'll go back. Why do I need permission? I think I have the quote, the translated quote. It says, yeah, that's provided if Zaluzhny actually does exist. If that, I don't know if it's from any kind of a video from him. And then again, if it is from a video, it could also have been from a video a long time ago. You know, you'd kind of wonder if you find out maybe sometime after this military operation that they're just using old tapes of Zaluzhny or who knows what. I don't know. But he said, why should I need to ask someone for permission what to do in enemy territory in order to save my people? Save my people. So in other words, I guess bombing the people of Donbass equates to saving his own people. You know, but what that does is it incentivizes your so-called enemy territory, your enemy, to want to volunteer. You know, when you're killing their people, their relatives in their country, you know, in which they were, I don't want to say indoctrinated, encouraged to love as they were growing up. When they see that happening to their country, a lot of them are inclined to go and enlist or to find some way to fight against that enemy that is bombing their people. So I guess that's the way he calls saving his people, is to bomb the innocent people from their self-determined enemy. Like, for example, in the Donbass, which they call their people and they call their territory, even though they're told they're not allowed to speak the language that they and their people have spoken for maybe well over 1,000 years, that your language is going to be banned. And isn't that strange that they're just now getting around to banning the Russian language in the western part of Ukraine, but the eastern part was supposed to be illegal to be speaking it by probably 1 year ago. I don't know if they put a deadline, but they were told they're not allowed to be speaking Russian. Nothing will be done in Russian. And of course, as I told you yesterday in the video, you know what they're teaching them in the schools, that all that stuff about the ancient Ukrainians and getting rid of everything Russian books, Russian salad, everything. Yeah, Russian to the bathroom. You really have to go. That sort of thing. So killing your own people is saving your own people. It makes really a lot of sense. And of course, all that is done with the full approval of the collective West, as we know. And the media, they never mention anything about it. Oh, it's not happening. And that's another funny thing. They're talking about some, what was it? I think they were saying, oh, what was this? It was some bombing not too long ago. And it was, they're saying that Russia sent some kind of a missile or something somewhere. And I think it was the United Nations or something, saying it was came from Russia. And I think it was Maria Zakharova said, well, if the United Nations, or maybe it was NATO, probably in the United Nations, I think, if they're so good at knowing where the bombs are coming from and who sent them, then they can tell us who's bombing the Donbass, couldn't they? Or who's bombing, she said, who's bombing the Zaporozhye power plant? Is it Russia or is it Ukraine? If they can track these bombs so easily and tell where they're coming from. So what else? Yeah, but no, like I was talking about as far as population reduction is, and of course Ukraine is doing their part, the US is doing their part, and of course seems like they want to get rid of the least desirable people first, or at least primarily them, and maybe those that are inclined to get sex changes or something like that. Maybe we should all be satisfied with that, because then they can't reproduce. Get your junk cut off or get some junk sewn on that doesn't work. I have no idea. I don't know what that stuff is all about, you know. And you know, personally, I think there might be some people, you know, they have some kind of hormonal imbalance, you know. But you know, the problem is that these guys, these governments, school districts, and the media, they're encouraging it. They're incentivizing people. They're telling it how great it is. And they're encouraging people to do this stuff. You know, there might be some sad cases, like I say. You know, I've seen some kind of femi guys, and I've seen masculine women and all that. And a lot of people say that that in the West that they're putting things in the food to make men more feminine. And apparently there's some truth to that. I don't know. I'm not really looking at the evidence. It's nothing really I want to look into, but I'll bet they're not doing it over here in Belarus and Russia. So if I were living over there, I would really want to look into that. And I know about corn, you know, genetically modified corn, and they're talking about how that makes men sterile. There's some sort of a thing that they've done with so much corn, and most all corn in the world is genetically modified. Most all of it. You know, I don't know about over here, but I remember when I made a trip to Bulgaria in the old days. I think that was during, it was in George Bush the first, his term. No, not George Bush the second. Excuse me. And Bulgaria was welcoming in this Monsanto stuff. A lot of people were pissed off, but you know, about GMO corn, and apparently that stuff spreads very easily, and even high up in the mountains in Mexico, where there never was any genetically modified corn, now they have genetically modified corn because of the pollen spreading. Jeez. And then I think it was Monsanto. If they come to your field, even though you've never planted that corn, and they come onto your property and they take a sample of your corn or whatever crop you're growing, and if they take it to a laboratory and find any kind of genetics whatsoever that is from Monsanto, then you get sued. You get sued, and a lot of time you'll get put out of business, even if you don't want. If that's the last thing you want is anything to do with any of their genetically modified, you know, crops. I think that's happened a lot of times in Canada as well. Canada and the United States. So some really, well, anyway, that's life in the West. You guys all know that, how fun it is over there. Probably a lot better than I do. I'll tell you what. Let me tell you about Germany now. Since I lived in Germany, you know, we had two old houses. They were both unlivable. One was worse than the other. And one, you know, kind of a big one, because the houses are very cheap in Eastern Germany. You can find some very cheap things. And so anyway, we had one, and we contacted the tax office and said, we don't live in Germany, we live overseas. Can you please send us the bill for the taxes every year? We own that house for, I don't know, maybe 4 years. Anyway, so and it was a little bit bigger house, so we paid that quarterly, and they would send us a bill and we would pay it. And then I got this little house, even though it was in a different town, and that town, it was called Werdau in near Zwickau. That's, you know, where that refugee pooped in the pool or something like that a long time ago, and everybody had to get out. It was big news when the refugees were flooding into Germany. Zwickau was, but not you know. But anyway, this government in this town called Werdau, really terrible. They built a little a schwimmbad, you know, a place where you can go swimming or something. So there's some kind of law in Germany that says if you have a schwimmbad, you can charge more taxes. So that's what the guy did everything to raise the taxes on everybody. And the house that I had, it was on 61 square meters, very small. You know, it's just like a big living room. And there was a guy next to me, and he complained about his taxes. He was on 1,500 square meters, and his tax was not quite triple mine. So I was wondering, why do I have to pay so much tax for 61 square meters? You know, and he was complaining about how high his tax was. And then anyway, I complained about that, and they never really responded. And then I kept telling them, you know, we have to pay the tax, so, you know, send us a bill. And I called them up multiple times. They never sent us a bill, you know. And apparently they were, because I didn't live there, they were probably sending it in the mailbox. But the other people, they could send it to me by email in that other town, you know, right away. But these other people in Verda, they didn't do that. And even when I was selling the house, I was saying, well, where do I pay the tax? I owe tax on this for 2 years, you know, which was, 800 and something euros. And I never got an answer. And I called them and I said, could you send me a bill? And they never sent me a bill. And now here it is when Germany needs money. They're telling me that I have to pay 3 years, even though we sold it after 2 years. And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be going into this, confusing everybody. So we sold it and it was like January, February. So that means that I have to pay that entire year, even though I sold it and the person, and that was the same with the people that we bought it from, also about the same time of year. So they're supposed to pay their year and they didn't pay it. They didn't pay it. Maybe they didn't get a bill either. And then we didn't get a bill, so we weren't paying that. But we know we have to pay it, even though I only owned that house for 2 months of that year. So I owe 2 years actually, and they're trying to get me for the year before where the other person is supposed to pay, the one that sold it to us. And we told them that we're not liable for that. And then they also want to get us for interest, because we didn't pay, because they never sent us a bill for all of that. And I don't live there now, and we told them, we'll pay for 2 years and no interest. I'm not going to pay any interest when I wanted to pay on time. And I don't know, what is it, maybe 200 of interest, or I don't know exactly how much they want to pay. Zinsen, Gebühr, interest and fees. So, I'm not going to pay it. So, and we asked them to send us a bill for the 2 years and not that other stuff. And then they sent us something back and said, no, we have to pay for 3 years and all that Zinsen, being very nice. And, well, I haven't written the letter back, but I'm just going to pay for 2 years and that's it. So, and I do have a small bank account there. Who knows, they're probably going to seize it. As you know, if they don't have a law, they're going to make a law pretty soon. Germany is very desperate, and they're becoming extremely greedy. So right now, obviously, and they're going to soak everybody. They've been like that before anyway. Like my wife took a German class, and we paid every every month. She had it like for 6 months, or we paid, I don't know, 3/4. But luckily we kept all the receipts. And then sometime after that, it was like 3, 4 months, 6 months after the courses was over, and they sent us some notice and said, we have to pay for that course, that we never paid for it. And luckily, we went in and showed them all the receipts, and it's like, their jaws dropping, trying to charge us some money when we already paid it. It's just as bad as the United States over there. They're really trying to rip you off, steal your money as much as they can. So Germany is it's a bad country like that too, really trying to steal everybody's money, any possible chance they can. You better save all your receipts and things like that, or they're going to say you didn't pay, and you got to pay again. And that's not the first time. That's happened to me other times in Germany as well. So, and Belarus, I'll tell you what, that's the advantage of having an authoritarian government, because the guy up on the top says, you treat the people fairly, you treat the people nice. So, in other words, when you say that you paid it already, and and I've already experienced this, they're not going to argue with you. They're going to go look. They're going to make sure before they're going to charge you. They're going to make sure that you actually didn't pay. So, and what was it? They tried it was like I told you about the kitchen counter. We told them that we'll talk to that agency, and of course we got a big reduction in the price because it was their fault. They were supposed to have it installed by a certain time. They didn't. And every day that they are negligent is 1% off of the price. So, if you run a business, if you want to come to Belarus and you want to start a business, you have to be an honest businessman, because the government is going to hold you. They're going to hold you to account that you have to be honest. And I think if you can find, at least in translation, a lot of things that comes from Lukashenko, you can hear him talking that way. He doesn't like anybody ripping people off. So if you're a if you're a fair person like that, then you know, this is the place for you. So you like things done the way things are supposed to be done, rather than cheating and stealing and all that sort of thing. So that's one of the big objectives, and that's why Belarus is the way it is right now. So, and obviously that's why a lot of these foreign governments don't like it, and they hate Belarus and they want to overthrow it. And that's why a lot of these people that are from Belarus living in these other countries, they want to overthrow the government and come here and start their country of corruption, just like in the West. So, and a lot of the Belarusian people that are here now, they don't even know that. So a lot of time they're getting what do you call it, brainwashed. Like I said yesterday, you have to see that that rant that Jackson Hinkle put on one of his videos about some Russian guy talking about, you know, the West is compared to Russia. I think he meant, did he say Belarus too? Well, anyway, there's people even in Russia that talk about Russia, Belarus. So anyway, that's how things. And then I'll tell you what, there's more corruption in Russia than there is in Belarus. It's you know, the little guys, there's people running around running scams and stuff a lot more. It's a much bigger country. And over here, it's a smaller country. And when they hear of somebody running a scam, you tell the police, they react, and they get out and they look for the people running scams and ripping people off. It's incredible. They do things like what you expect the police maybe should be doing in the US, but don't. So that's about all I'll say about that one there. So let's go back to this 3,000 soldiers. I don't know if they're going to be, you know, if this is some kind of a mission creep a lot of people talking about, you know, sending these reservists. I don't know. So far it's just nothing but a nothing story. It's a nothing burger at the moment. You know, there's a lot of US soldiers already in Ukraine, and they're not even telling you how many they are. And then they call them mercenaries. But a lot of these people, you know, they're sent there by the United States government, and the United States government, you know, admits that. And I'll tell you what, you might, if you call the Delta Force and things like that mercenaries, they change their status. And I know about this stuff. You get your status changed, and then you go there and you know, in effect, you are a mercenary, but you are not a mercenary, if you know what that means. You know, and that's what Delta Force is all about anyway. Yes, but this all serves into the bigger goal of depopulation. All of this stuff means getting rid of people, and of course the ones they want to get rid of most are not just the Slavic peoples, you know. And it's like a lot of people are saying lately, you know, it's coming out. The United States and the collective West, and this includes even a lot of the people in the Baltic states. We're talking about Lithuania and Latvia. They hate Ukrainians. They're using the Ukrainians as useful idiots right now. You know, and if I were a Ukrainian, I would be getting sick and tired of being used as a useless idiot all the time. They should be getting sick of it about by now. It's just like Russia, kind of, you know, always playing the nice guy and always bending and all that for the West. And I think and I hope that time is over, and Ukraine needs to stop being what they are. They need to realize who their friends are. Russia is actually trying to liberate them, you know. Russia is their brothers. They're the northern Slavic peoples. And there's nobody that is going to back the Ukrainians any more than the Russians are and the Belarusians. They're one people in truth. And then you think these other people over in the West are on your side. I just hope to hell that you don't find out, If the West wins, you're going to find out how much they like you. You're going to find out. Yes, but anyway, population reduction. They are overjoyed to fight till the last Ukrainian. And then I guess the next are the Western Slavs, which are the Poles. They're going to start taking care of them. And of course, they don't like the Slavs in the south either, the Serbians, the Bulgarians. You know, then they're going to be next, you know. They're going to be the useful idiots. And if they ever get into NATO, they're just going to suck them dry anyway. Even if there is no war, they're going to suck them dry. I don't know. A lot of these people need to find out, you know, what their mission is on planet Earth and who their friends really are. Look at these trends. these people are going to stab you in the back, all you Slavic peoples, you know. I'm not even a Slavic people. Hey, I'm a Prussian. I'm a Prussian. My ancestry comes from Prussia. You know, the so-called blue hair, or no, blue-eyed, blonde-haired type guys. You know, the master race sort of thing. But I'll tell you, I'm on your side. I'm on anybody's side who's getting oppressed from any kind of idiots who think they're better than everybody else, you know. How you're judged is what you accomplish, you as an individual, not by your skin color or your religion or anything. You guys need, I don't need to start playing violins or something like that, but anyway. So, I think that's about it for right now. I might be going to some place and filming that today a little bit. It's kind of late in the afternoon now, but you know, see, the problem is it's going to be like a food place. They'll probably be playing music, and you know how YouTube hates music, you know, the copyright sort of things and all that. I don't know. So I'm not quite sure. Where's the sun at? I should probably be, I don't know. I don't know how the lighting is. Kind of too close to midday. But in any case, if you haven't subscribed, you should subscribe. My last video didn't get very many views, which is strange. A lot of good stuff in that last video. A lot of stuff that nobody's talking about. You know, otherwise everybody's talking about these reservists and things like that. But anyway, that's enough for right now. And yeah, maybe I'll get another video up, or maybe it'll be late tonight or tomorrow, my time anyway. And thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.